everyone. Welcome to this month's edition of North Central Outdoors. I'm Nathan Karch with the TWRA. So today we are shooting part two of a two-part series talking about our 12 most common boating violations that we see while we're out on water patrol. We are going to be covering the other 6 today. We aired the last 6 last time. So again, this is not in any specific order of importance or anything like that, but we're just going to be covering the next 6. And I failed to mention, if you have any questions about any of these violations or would like to report a violation, please don't hesitate to contact our Region 2 office. That is going to be 615-781-6581. Or you can contact me personally at nathan.karch@tn.gov. That is my state email, and I'll try to get back with you as soon as I possibly can. So please remember that. And then again, we do have a free app that we offer to everybody. You can just go to your app store, and it is TWRA on the go. And it has all kinds of good information on there. You can buy your license on there, whether it be hunting or fishing license. You can report a harvest on there. You can look up sunset and sunrise tables. So it's got tons of good information on there, and just highly recommend downloading it because it's free and you'll have it at your fingertips. So we're going to dive on into the next 6 violations that we see while working boating. So the first one is boating registration. So as most of you know, it is required by law to have proper registration and proper display of registration on your boat. We recognize that, during today's trying times with fighting COVID-19 and this pandemic, not all county courthouses and clerks are open to get this taken care of. So if you buy a new boat and you're trying to get it transferred in your name and get new registration numbers because you might have bought it out of state, then there's going to be a pretty long waiting period on that. I would say just document that, and if you get approached by an officer, we will take that into consideration, and we are offering a pretty generous grace period just due to the pandemic right now. But it is required by law. If you've owned your vessel for a while now, and it is in your name, all you have to do is get online and renew your registration, and you're good to go. So you don't actually have to go to any physical location to do that. I will say that due to the crazy amount of volume that we're seeing on renewing registrations, that your wait time as far as getting the actual tag to put on your boat is going to be 2 to 3 months out. But you will receive a confirmation that you applied for the new registration, and you should receive a receipt. So just keep that with you. You can keep it on your cell phone. An electronic copy or a copy will suffice. That's perfectly fine. And show that to an officer if you are contacted by TWRA law enforcement. Normally, I will say that before we contact you, we have already run your registration number through our system. So we can tell immediately if it's expired or not expired. So that will help out as well. But it has to be 3-inch block letters, and they have to be contrasting colors to what your boat color is. So they've got to be pretty visible. Say if you got a black boat, you don't want like a dark blue or anything, or a dark red like that. You want white or a yellow or something like that. And we don't give you the actual registration numbers. That's a common misconception. We only give you the tag. So the tag information is just going to display the year number in which that your tag expires. It's going to list your whole identification number, just like a vehicle's VIN number, and then it's going to basically say the date that you purchased that tag, and then its expiration date. So the TN numbers themselves you will have to actually purchase yourself, whether it be Amazon or Bass Pro, Cabela's, Academy, even Walmart. They carry those registration numbers. But again, 3-inch block letters, and it has to be contrasting colors. The next is a fire extinguisher. If you have a boat that has an enclosed gas tank, you're required by law to have a fire extinguisher. So those John boats that just have the portable or external gas tank, you're not required to have that. but it is highly recommended. If your boat is equipped with a halon system, then that will suffice. You don't actually have to have a fire extinguisher on board if your boat is equipped with a halon system. Although again, it's recommended to have a fire extinguisher on board if possible. A couple of ways to test those, and you need to routinely make sure that those are good to go. There's no maintenance on them, so if it's either a yes or a no about whether they're valid. So the main ones that we see, they have the gauge displayed, and it's either red, which is bad, or green is good. And you can, keep those on the boat for maybe another 6 months, but every 6 months I would really take a close look and inspect those fire extinguishers. The other one is just the push tab. So on those, you got to be careful because it actually has to have that usually it's a yellow or a red tab that's sideways on the pin. If it's not there, then there's no way of testing it because it will actually go off. So once you push that pin down, if you have the tab in, then if it's good, the pin should pop right back up. If it's bad, then it will stay down and you need to replace that fire extinguisher. Boating education requirements. So people often refer to this as your boating license. If you were born after January 1st of 1989, you're required by law to go and take a boater certification class in order to operate any vessel. So whether it be a jet ski, a john boat, a runabout, a wakeboard boat, anything, bass boat, you've got to have that certification. And it is recognized pretty much in every state across the U.S. So if you were to move or you do possess that from an additional state and you've moved here recently, then you should be good to go. I would make sure prior to going out that you are, but yeah, you're good. If you were born after that date, you've got to go to a testing location and the test has to be proctored. So you can download the study guide on boated.com or just go to our regional office and pick up a boating booklet, and it will contain all the information that you need to know on the test, and you'll be ready to go to a testing location. And you can actually look up the testing locations online as well and when those will be available. Most of the time, you can pretty much count on a public library in your county to host a testing site. Due to COVID-19, I'm not sure what's going to be open right now, but again, you can go online and it should list all the available testing locations to go ahead and get that done. Once that you complete that certification, you're good for the rest of your life. You never have to take that test again. And for boaters that do carry insurance, it's not required by law to have insurance in the state of Tennessee. But if you do have it and you do possess that boating certification, then there is a huge discount that you can receive through your insurance company by possessing that license. So I would run that by them once you complete it, and it's well worth the money because all it costs to get that license is $10. So you have to purchase a Type 600 permit, and you can buy that on our app, TWRA on the go, or you can go to any sporting goods store, you can go to Walmart and just buy that Type 600 permit. That will allow you to take the test as many times as you need to in order to pass it. And then once you get it, you're good to go. So just make sure that you fulfill that requirement before you go out on the water if you were born after January 1st of 1989. Those born before that, a valid driver's license is all you need to go out and operate a boat. The next thing, this is extremely important, is navigation lights. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this just because it is so important. The best way that you can get an idea of how navigation lights work and the navigation rules and laws of the waterways, because unlike the road, there's no lines. You're not told exactly where to go at any given time because the water is just everywhere. It's different on every single waterway. You've got coves, you've got the main channel. You will have your marker or your channel marker buoys that kind of give you a sense of where those channels are, but they're very, very spread out. So if you're off left or right, you know, it could mean that you're in 50 foot of water or you're in 5 foot of water really, really fast. And then with boating traffic going everywhere, it's very important to know these rules and regulations. And not knowing these rules oftentimes occurs in a ton of accidents, resulting in serious injury normally, just because people just don't know. So the first thing, to really understand how it works, is I would ride with an experienced operator after dark when these navigation lights are required, and you can get a sense. And it's honestly very much just like driving on the road. You've got red and green lights that tell you to stop and go. So it's very informative if you can actually experience that at night. So I'm going to demonstrate a little bit on how that's done, and then we can go into daytime operation. So first off, you are going to have your all-around white light. This is going to be usually a pretty large pole, and this white light is going to be visible from 360 degrees. I would recommend an LED light just because they are so bright, other than a halogen, and they'll last a lot longer. So you will be visible from a much greater distance with an LED compared to a halogen, and that just offers more protection for you. Again, I'd go with the LEDs in your bow lights. These are your red and greens. These will be located on the nose of the bow at the farthest most point. And these act just like a traffic light. So this is going to be displayed in the back or the center of the boat, but it has to be displayed at the highest point. Oftentimes we see wakeboard boats and pontoons with bimini tops or towers to pull skiers, wakeboarders, etc. Oftentimes those towers or bimini tops will obstruct the view of this stern light, and you'll hear people refer to this as an anchor light as well. But this has to be displayed at the highest point of your boat. That way it is visible from 360 degrees. So as soon as legal sunset comes, and you can go back to the sunset and sunrise times, anywhere between legal sunset and sunrise, these navigation lights have to be displayed. If you were at anchor, and that's where the anchor light comes in, this is the only one that has to be displayed. So if you are at anchor, if you're fishing out there or you're just hanging out in the cove or something, this is the only one that is required to have on. You can turn this one off, the red and greens. So this one's displayed from 360 degrees. Anytime you're underway, all three of them have to be on every single time. So to get an idea of how these work, this is going to be displayed in the front, this is in the back. All right, so if you are approaching me head on, you're going to see all three lights on. That tells you that you are approaching me and we're on course to probably hit each other. So you have to make an action to avoid that collision. So it is said that you always go to your starboard side, which is your right side. So my starboard side is going to be my right side, port side is going to be my left. So always go to your starboard side, and the other vessel should go to their starboard side, and that will avoid that collision. So you have to take immediate action always to avoid the collision. So that's going to be head on. If you approach me from my back, you're only going to see that all-around white light. That tells you that you're approaching me from my rear and you need to go to your starboard side and go around me. Now, you can't always go starboard side just simply because the waterway might be narrow, the channel might be narrow, you might have some sort of structure on the right-hand side, and that vessel might be hugging that right-hand side. So whatever it takes to avoid a collision, you need to do that and take that action. If you are the vessel and you see a red light and a white light, that means you're approaching from my port side. That tells you that I am the stand-on vessel and you are the give-way vessel. Red means stop. That means you stop and give way. So you will slow your speed and go to your starboard side to go around my vessel behind me, not in front of me, but behind me, and you will avoid that collision. If you see green lights and a white light. That means you're approaching me from my starboard side. That means you are the stand-on vessel. That green means go. You maintain your course, and you will just keep going. And I am the one to give way. I yield to you, and I turn to my starboard side, and I go around the back end of your boat. Now, not all people know these laws, so you'll have to keep your head on a swivel and make sure that that vessel is giving way if it's their turn to actually give way, just to avoid that collision. So always make sure that you're looking out, because it's very important that you know these laws, because a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. Now, these aren't always going to be on during the daytime. Some people keep them on, but they're not going to be visible during the daytime at all. So it works the exact same during the day. You've just got to know that on the starboard side is green and on the port side is red. So during the day, you act just like that traffic light. On the right side, that means that you are the stand-on vessel if you see their right side, and they have to give way to you. If you are approaching their left-hand side, port side, that means that you are the giveaway vessel and you go around them. So I hope I've made that kind of clear. I know that's kind of a lot to take in, but that's how it operates. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you are not operating in the main channel and you have to be the giveaway vessel from somebody coming out of the cove. I know if you're on a main highway or something like that, oftentimes whoever is coming out of just a side street going onto the main highway, they're 100% going to yield to you. They're going to stop. Well, that doesn't necessarily happen on the lake. If you are just operating the main channel and you have somebody approaching from your starboard side, that means that you are the giveaway vessel. So you should slow down and give way to them to come out into the main channel, and that will help you anywhere you are on any body of water. Always, because it's not just one racetrack or one lane on the waterways. So it's sometimes very narrow and sometimes very huge, and tons of coves. I know if you've ever been to Dale Hollow, it's everywhere. So just knowing these navigation laws will really help you out, and it is law. So make sure that you practice this. Next will be no wake zones, and we see a lot of violations with the no wake zones. So whenever you approach a marina or a boat ramp, it's understood that those areas are no wake zones. You will see orange and white buoys extended from those boat ramps or marinas, and that insinuates that it is a no wake zone, and they should be marked, but oftentimes just due to crazy water conditions, flooding, high winds and current and stuff like that, or boat traffic, if there's barges coming through or just other people who aren't paying attention, they'll oftentimes wipe those buoys out. So they might not always be marked, but it is understood that those areas are a no wake zone. When I say no wake, that means idle speed only. And oftentimes, some boats, they idle very fast. So that means you're gonna have to put it in gear and then back out of gear. And you're gonna have to keep doing that in order to not cast a wake. Normally idle speed is 5 miles an hour, but it could be under that just depending on how big your vessel is and what kind of wake it casts. So always make sure that when you're approaching a marina or a boat ramp, that you do slow down to no wake speed, because it beats the boats within the slips at the marina to death, and it also beats the boats that are trying to unload and launch, or they're trying to load up their boat at the boat ramp, and you are responsible for your wake and the damage it causes, so just know that. And then the final thing, and we see a lot of, and what we're probably known for on the water, is our BUI enforcement. So BUI is boating under the influence. It's the exact same thing and carries the same penalties as DUI, driving under the influence on the road. So that doesn't necessarily mean just alcohol. It could be illegal drugs. It could be prescription drugs. If you have taken a ton of Benadryl before you get out there and operate a boat, you could be highly impaired. I know I would be. I can't take Benadryl a whole lot without just being drowsy. So make sure that you always have somebody to operate the vessel who knows what they're doing and can be sober and not impaired if you are under the influence of any of those things. It's the same legal limit, so 0.08 is the legal limit out on the water, but impairment could start well below that if you don't drink a whole lot, or you don't use medication a whole lot. It could have an adverse reaction to your body, and it's very much compounded when you're out in the heat. The sun's beating down on you, you've got waves knocking on your boat, and you're rocking back and forth, and you're probably going to be dehydrated as well, just due to those conditions. So environmental conditions play a huge role and are a key factor to impairment as well. So just make sure that you always have a safe operator and a sober driver while you're out there, because it is the law. So these are our 12 most common violations. This is, again, a part 2 of a 2-part series. So that concludes all 12 most common violations. There are a few more that we can throw in there, but these are the ones we see all the time out on water patrol. So I hope this has been eye-opening for you, and we definitely want everybody to go out there, have a fantastic time. We're not trying to ruin any fun, but these laws are implemented for your safety, and they're making sure that you go home every day to your family and your loved ones who care about you safe and sound. That way that you've got another day to go out and enjoy God's creation. So we appreciate your time, and we hope to see you out there. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.